And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Refresh Point. My name is Ben, and as always, I'm joined by my constant co-host, Steve. Steve, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. We're back in the recording studio once again because our schedule is being righted thanks to lots of summer activities.
Summer activities. We love doing stuff in the summer. It's a great time.
Everybody's skipping locals to go on vacation and do some other stuff.
Yeah.
But of course, we always got to talk about Weiss Schwarz.
We gotta talk about Weiss Schwarz.
We love Weiss Schwarz.
We love Weiss Schwarz. We love Weiss Schwarz. We've got some tier lists to go over. Woo! And we're gonna make some ourselves over on the content farm. RWBY Premium Booster came out. It's coming into the scene, and us Americans, we've got some July 4th celebrations. But alongside that, some Weiss Schwarz tournaments to talk about for the summer. So go ahead and shuffle your decks, tap or cut, and we'll get right into the refresh point with some breaking news. The Ohio event has been properly announced. The summer solstice. Come on down. We have two or 3 days of wonderful Weiss Schwarz. What is it? Mixed JP English format. JP ban list in effect. Sokka fucking headshot. Killed. Banned. Can't play him. Not allowed. And other English bans applied to their respective originals as well.
Yeah, that's not gonna make me sad, but I'm sure if someone was planning to cruise through that event using the power of attacking 100 times, well, too bad.
Too bad.
Just get comfortable with this feeling. That way, when it actually happens, you won't have to worry about too much.
There's some side events going on. There's going to be Highlander after the top 8. There's going to be Dice Schwarz, I think, on the Sunday afterwards. All sorts of good stuff. And I will be there commentating in the flesh. Let's go. As well as Steve will be able to call in here and there. And I think Goth Mamamus is coming in hot for commentary as well. So we got some voices on the mic, and we'll walk you through the whole day.
I definitely wish I could be there in person, but scheduling conflicts make it difficult. However, I would love to talk about some live Weiss Schwarz and explain the game for people who maybe new to the game,
or just not as familiar.
Yeah, they wanna have some of that hard-hitting analysis.
And now this also means you need to learn the JP meta.
I'm not gonna do that, but what I will do.
Wow. I have to learn the JP meta? I thought you were color commentating.
True.
What a guy.
I will
cringe.
I will learn about the JP meta, but I won't like it.
Okay, he won't like it. All right. Summer solstice going on. The 1K California event concluded. Winner, 8-win Heaven Burns Red.
That's insane.
Yeah, dude.
That set is... Sleeper doesn't even begin to describe it. That's like a bear came out of a cave and mauled somebody. It's like, that deck wasn't a sleeper. That was full on hibernation.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That's a crazy result.
I mean, Escanor and home at 2. Just hit him. Just hit him, baby.
This is just further proof that any set that comes down when you're playing tournament play that you've never seen before, you should immediately be concerned. What is that again? Oh, I don't think I've ever played against that. As soon as you think that idea, that's when you should be concerned immediately. Whoever this person is, this cryptid that you're about to face, they've been playing this set against your deck, like guaranteed. Cryptid. No, I hate that. I hate whenever I just wander into something like that.
You know what's also funny? You know what got second? Slime.
There's no amount of nerfs that it can't take. There's no amount of nerfs that it can't take.
I was playtesting, so you know what's funny? He sleeved up that deck that day. he had never played that archetype that he had played before that tournament.
Yeah.
And then he gave me he was like, I'm going to update this list a bit, bet I want you to try it. And then I immediately took it to a local and went 3-0. And I was like, yeah, Miran's still good. Turns out Corona at home, very workable.
Yeah.
Very workable.
Yeah.
I can search 2 or 3 times. That'll advance the game plan. Door will also advance the game plan. 3 rules Rimuru. So this was an interaction that I was skeptical of, to some degree. It's a level 0 yellow Rimuru. He gives 500 to characters in front. Then he can rest himself to marker a character from the waiting room standing, and then he can rest himself and pay 1 to add that character to your hand.
Okay, it's like a
delayed salvage, but hear me out.
Yeah, it's sort of like the potions where it's like we're gonna get a reward eventually.
No, but hear me out. If you draw into one of the 3 events in the deck, it's a yellow 1-0 event. So the color fuckery in this deck is a lot harder than kind of your standard Miran lists from pre-ban.
Right.
But if you play this event, you can look at the top 4 and add a character. And then you can stand 3 rules Rimuru. Hear me out. Now it's a salvage now.
Right.
Yes.
If with another card.
Yes. But also, I found that delayed salvage, also good.
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing, the game state changes rapidly. So it's not a bad thing to, especially if you're already in a good position. What you might need next turn is going to be somewhat different probably than what you need right now. You'll just have more information.
Yeah.
It's problematic if you're behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Is Slime ever truly behind?
No, it's actually so free because, a thing that might pop up in other lists is the deck, previously, because you ran a Search Brainstormer, the deck had not as much waiting room access as it might want. In this kind of post-ban list, you have a Salvage Brainstormer, you have 3 rules. If Miran hits the waiting room, she's not going to be there for long.
No, the stash mechanic allows you to, in deck 1 in particular, conserve your mid-game strategy into it so that they can't all fly off to nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
So between that and the Bonder, I don't know.
You even only play one of the Bonder.
Yeah, because how much assurance do you really need?
I mean, you're playing Corona at home already.
We have salvage, we have other salvage, and we have
search 1 combo.
Right, and then raw drawing. There's a 4 of. It's a 4 of. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, increased reliability to a reliability engine is never going to be a bad thing. So
true. Yeah. Obviously, we just kind of riffed off on it because I played Slime, and then I ended up playing this list for second. But congratulations to everybody in the top 8 of the California 1K. Congratulations to the winner for piloting Heaven Burns Red. 8 win to just a shitload of cash.
Yeah, I
just an absolute truck ton of money.
I believe there were 66 players. I think.
Yeah. So I'm not sure.
That's
it
was in the mid-high 60s. I know that. So yeah, congrats to everybody who showed up. That's a nice result for a non-Bushi Road, non-anything, just store tournament for money.
Yeah.
And hopefully this encourages other stores that have robust Weiss Schwarz communities that there is a way that you can translate that into money in these sort of regional type events. With the Oklahoma one, this California one, the Ohio one, I think these events are really important for Weiss Schwarz. They show that the game is healthy. They show that there's a community willing to spend money to go to these events to represent the game, to represent themselves. So yeah, I think that those are really important.
Yes. RWBY Premium is released. we'll have our first midnight release segment in a while to go into that, because for once we're recording on the day of a release, and it's a set that we actually purchased, or at least one of us did, and we're kind of like, we're thinking about it. It's kind of on the mind. Sorry, Licorice. Sorry, Bochi. Sorry. Neither of us just happened to get those sets. If you're a fan of those sets and you wanted our takes on it, you can pay us $5 on our coffee page at www.ko-fi.com/refreshpointws. You can commission us for an ambitious deck commission, and we'll make it for you. After previous feedback, we will be making sure, if you give us a $5 commission, we will make sure to playtest at least 15 or 20 games into different meta decks. Slime, Overlord, Gura, we have it all available. Atla, all that noise, we're going to be able to play into it. We'll have our notes for you, cards that you want, you maybe want to take in or take out, all sorts of stuff. Thank you, Bromyos, for the feedback. So yeah, if you wanted those sets, just let us know. Hit us up. And as well, this is probably coming out. You're listening to this, and I like betting. I guess in a sense it's a bet that I could rig, because technically I could just try to do it anyway and I would lose the bet, but I would bet you that this is not coming out on July 5th. Just purely because, like, the day before I am going to a party, an absolute rager, and I don't anticipate being conscious for the majority of July 5th. So, hello to everybody. What's the Monday after? 6th, 7th. Hello, if you're listening to this, it's most likely on July 8th. Sorry that we couldn't make it for the weekend. I was incapacitated.
I was young once.
I was waiting to see what you might have said, and by God, you did choose a good line. Haven't done this in a while either, and so let's hop over to the mailbox, because we have a lot of comments. You guys leave comments all the time, and we haven't specifically responded to a bunch of them in a while. So thanks everybody for all of your comments, as always. We appreciate it all the time. We appreciate all of your feedback and all of your kind of like comments on different things and such. So I'm gonna take us back to episode 7, right after I got third with Billy and the doctor at Duluth. I think we mentioned this. I do agree with Beanwolf that the distortion at White Plains was pretty bad. We've kind of talked about this before, but man, can we not have a clock? Can we please? I think there's like a feedback thing on Boucher. They have like an email. I should just start emailing that every week. Just have a bot and just
we can. Yeah. Don't threaten us with a good time.
Please give us a clock. Please give us a clock. Please give us a clock.
It's actually that the tweet that they sent out about being or the line from that video where they're like we're competitive minded or whatever, that I thought that has become the meme that has never stopped giving.
I don't know what line you're talking about.
In one of the videos from last year, it was during like one of their conference videos.
Yeah.
They were like,
sure.
We treat the game seriously. Something like we're competitive focused, or we want the game to be. And every single time that some shit like this happens, where it's a very obvious low bar competitive thing that you should just have, they don't do it, and then we get to meme on them all over again. It's just, I'll pull it up and we can make it the thumbnail for this video for all I care. But it's just one of those things where they said this thing and everything that they do, every time they go against it, it's just we hit them with it again. It's the perfect bat.
Come on.
We don't have to. We like Bushiroad.
Yeah,
but
we like Bushiroad.
We can also hold them to a higher standard.
We can criticize them a little bit.
Yes, we're allowed to do that.
Yeah. Shout outs to Space Cowboy over multiple comments. It was fun playing you once again in Duluth. I think we probably mentioned that after that episode, but hell yeah. Also, recent comment from him, Nikkei is just gonna be an Azure Lane reprint trust. These gacha games are all the same.
I've never. How can you say something so controversial yet so brave? He's
true.
He's spitting. That's a fact.
And the reply, I reply, these gacha games are all the same. We need one more so a team at BSF can be 3 rows of cats.
They better not reprint that part of it. That's all I'm saying.
No. We just
little.
get one more cats-like mechanic. We have RWBY Premium with the Yang fake cats. We have real cats, and then one more cat-like thing. And that's your cats right there. Boom.
I definitely love it when Bushiroad prints sets that coin flip the entire game at level at 0.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
One of us loses immediately. That's the fun part.
You love to see it. What is it? Okay. What is it? Oh yeah, Lindsay from Ohio. After she got hit with the anti-change in our quarters match and could not anti-change me, she legitimately added the anti-change to the Chainsaw Man deck.
The level 1?
Yeah.
I mean, not for nothing, you wouldn't see that shit coming if they gripped it.
That's correct.
There's some things that become ultra blowouts because you don't anticipate them, and that's one of them. Where you're just my opponent threw half his hand at me, and now he's destabilized my board. Everything's in shambles. I've never ever felt this bad.
I mean, what does Chainsaw Man care? They got an infinite hand to work with.
Typically,
all good in the neighborhood.
Just keep getting climaxes.
100%. Shout out to. This is a particularly long comment, and I did respond to it in the end from Alexander McCabe on that. What is it? On that video. There we go. Let me think. It was like a response to multiple things inside of the episode, and I did put out a response, but thank you for putting out your comments. We do love reading comments. Comments are great. Yeah, screw you, Panda. You know who you are. Thanks for another $125 down the hole. Just a little one of tech. You know, how hard can it be? Appreciate you keeping me on my toes. I gotta keep my max rarity list max rarity the whole time. You know, otherwise it wouldn't be.
I thought you were talking about Bridget for a moment.
No.
And I was thinking to myself, somebody sold one in the auction group for $75 last week, so there might be hope.
No. I have a Bridget.
Yeah, I'm talking about for someone else.
Yeah. That sucks for them.
Right. You're talking about your Takitsubo.
Yeah, the Takitsubo. Oh, and another one at the end of our report card episode, Space Cowboy brought up like, and I think we both agree on this. Into Chainsaw Man, your counterplay is not there. There's not much.
It's limited.
It's limited. It's just a scam, a scum and scam. It's a scum and scam you at 3 to death. And I'm like, yep. Yeah.
There are a number of decks that will not struggle to put you down at 3.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the difference is it's possible that you might have counterplay for getting put down, but what separates Chainsaw Man and Slime from most decks is their resistance to that counterplay. Mm-hmm. I think that's what makes people feel bad.
Yes. Atla is scary to play against. True.
I mean, every time they block and extend the game a little more, you just die a little inside because you know they're going to take their whole health bar and fling it at you.
Yeah.
If Atla clocks to 3-0, you're in uber danger.
Yeah, if you
be
ever become unfortunate enough, like the end of your turn, you're praying you can stick them to like 3-4 or something.
Yeah, no.
Just so that they have less room to work with. They block it all down. They're at 2-6. You're just like, fuck.
You know the whole train's coming. Yeah. Sometimes you hope that they're hurt bad enough to where some of their options may be limited. But that's an interesting thought. Damage during your opponent's turn is sort of effective against them.
Yeah.
Like damage reflect.
Oh yeah, true.
That's kind of effective against them.
Yeah, it is.
I hadn't really thought about it. Not many sets have it. But I mean, maybe. Memory kick is still our surest weapon against these criminals.
I mean,
we have to start memory kicking as soon as possible and never stop. Every time Asaka attacks,
I mean, Sao's kind of well positioned for that.
Correct.
Yeah. It's a level 1.
Where's Alice?
Counter.
Where's Alice?
Hey, there was an Alice at Rosemont. He played it through the ban list.
That's wild.
He got both Alices on the board at level 1 every game I saw him at.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what his record was, though.
I have no idea.
I don't doubt that you could do it, but man,
yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah, I don't know.
In any case, I'll be running 4 memory counters from SAO as soon as there's an SAO deck worth running.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bushiroad never leaves us hanging too long, the SAO fans. You know?
Yeah. That's why they're giving you the Chronicle set. That's a face.
Those will be really nice to put on someone's shelf.
Thanks for the compliments, Psychotic Sashimi us. We were cooking. We love ripping off other people's content for fun. And we have a content farm coming up. Like, I can't deny it.
We're scumbags, but we're also scumbags with jobs. It's tricky. It's a tricky process.
It's a tricky process. Back finally on to our last episode. Harrison commented, Tulsa has like 30 players. They have locals. They got locals for sure.
Oh, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, about half of them show up for locals, give or take, on a given week. And it was very fun playing you two. We mentioned on that show, we'll mention it again. It was very fun to play you.
Yeah,
And there was 8 players from Tulsa at that tournament.
That's crazy. See, I just didn't know. I saw some people I didn't know, but oftentimes I assume that I know less people than I do. But I probably know most of the people that attend the One Stop on a regular basis.
Sure.
So I should have put that together a little more readily, but it's good to hear.
We love having more scenes.
More scenes is always better. I
heard, there's and shout outs actually to Panda again, or Long as it is, who has a new shop running in South Cali. They have like 4 or 5 locals a week. They got it going on.
Yeah, I mean
NVI Max, I believe.
We were there. We were there at one point.
I mean, we're still technically there. It's just that the population is varied because we live in Texas, and like the population is just a little varied between, like about 1 hour of driving range of like.
I don't think we can use that against
shops.
People from California, man.
Really? I mean, it's what I'm saying. It's like they're all in South Cali.
Sure, but
there's more in
South Cali. Sure. Is big.
Fair enough.
But we just need.
That's true.
It's the difference, but we're taking the off season a lot more off seasony
than I think a lot of other people are. Yeah.
Yeah. The boys in California, they're grinding hard.
True. We're gonna get our ass whooped.
Ain't no way.
Anyways,
I like the way this crown fits.
Alexander calling you out. To be fair, the first 3 sets were all games rather than anime, but they were gacha games. It was Da Capo, Persona 3, and Little Busters.
Right. He's not wrong.
Yeah. We were just bringing up the gacha,
but
of
it
recent
seems
times.
as though
Yeah.
we've returned to our roots. I don't know, but
long time listener, Chainfire, shout outs to you again. What is it? I'm glad to hear he did mention it was 68 total at the Cali event.
There we go.
Very
68.
diverse field. Yeah, he's also a judge. I think we've mentioned before, and he can relate to to witnessing the horrors as it is. He was also brewing different Alistair decks. Although I will say that I was specifically doing 2 different climaxes, which is I feel like a little different. But I do agree that and I'm not sure if I mentioned this last episode. So to make up for it, we'll mention it now. I did playtest Stock Soul Pants as well for Alice. I think it's very reasonable. Oh, but I'll also say that we thought that Stock Soul was a more neck-decked combo, so I wanted to really give something fresh as it is. And
right.
10Ks defensively, pretty good. They tend to live, as Kishibe has taught us. At 1.
It's a bit complicated to remove something like that.
Yeah. I will say though, to that merit, the pants finisher of Alistair Aegis, very reasonable. It burns for the amount of cards you have in memory, and the cards that you put into memory frequently say on attack, send itself away from memory to give an effect. One level 0 card is pay 1, send to memory, check 3 at a character, and then when another card attacks, you can send this away to give it 2/5 power. But this also means that before the burn, you can kind of modularize it by getting rid of the memory and then paying the cost for the burn at the same unattack timing and burning for like 4 or 3 or 2 or whatever you want.
Right.
Because the finisher also heals to memory.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So you have a lot of room to work with for like modular damage with that finisher. I do like it. And finally, a few more things. Heck yeah, Ohio. True. We've shouted out Ohio like twice in a row now because you guys are winning a tournament. We love tournaments. And shout out to Rock, Paper, Scissors, man. 24th, BAM 28. Honestly, to quote, in all honesty, like a quarter of the time, I was too lazy to throw out anything except rock.
What's wild?
Just win. It just works. Just mind game them.
What's wild about that is I would guess their opponents were too exhausted to even think about it.
Yeah.
So they just threw scissors.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of those things where you can't... It's like the Princess Bride, where you try to outwit your opponent outwitting you, and you just end up outwitting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. Thank you for all of the comments. We appreciate every single one of your comments, even if we don't address them every single episode. We like to go back and try to address them later. Thank you very much. And coming on up, put on your straw hat, Steve. It's time to go to the content farm. We get out your pitchfork, get out your tier list maker. It's time to make some tier lists again. This time, the community tier list came out, and I took a little bit of umbrage to a placing of a certain list. Can you guess what that was, Steve? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No idea. Go ahead and tell me.
No idea. Review Starlight was tier 4, bro. Sheesh. Come on, man. Like, what? I
can tell the majority of the voters don't listen to the podcast.
I topped okay, the first top was kind of fake, but then I topped again in Duluth. I had the proof. I had the evidence on air. I told you my record, 7-2. I don't know, man. Like, what else do you need? Now, to be fair, a little bit, I think that somebody was talking about my, like, kind of jokey tweet rant about it, and he was like, well, I don't think the strength of a set should be based on, like, one pilot taking it to, like, an extreme.
Agreed.
And that's fair enough to you, but to me, it kind of goes both ways, because in my mind, it's like, well, it's not like I'm rating Chainsaw Man based on it, just the way that I was tiering at the time. It's like, I'm not basing Chainsaw Man based on how, like, a third-time Weiss player is playing Chainsaw Man. In my mind, I was considering it like, okay, if Chainsaw Man, if this list is being played at, like, the most potential that it can have, where is that on the tier list?
Right.
And so in that sense, having already shown some of the review potential to some degree, I feel like you can, like, safely place it at a tier or in community tier lists, there's like tier 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
I would have just bumped it up like one tier, basically. Which, so it's like kind of semantics, to be fair, but like, I think it's worth putting up there. It's got enough tools. It's not gonna get blown out completely by, like, decks above it. So
there are many sets that I would rather play Review Starlight with than play them. True. At least with Review Starlight, we are looking at a salient game plan that leans into the meta.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's that.
Yeah. And so in my eyes, it was more of, I felt like we have now seen to some degree, and it's a community tier list. Like, people will vote where they vote, and people don't know what Review Starlight does, or rate it lower, or they have played against somebody who's playing it differently, who maybe performs worse with it, so they have a different opinion of it in their minds. It makes sense. And I'm just saying that none of them have played me. But jokes aside, looking at the community tier list, I think it all made sense to me for the most part. Otherwise, to be honest, like, my tier 4, as we'll go over later, or like, it ended up being like my tier 3 because I did 0, 1, 2, 3, is just a lot smaller because I just put like a little more faith in some of these sets to, like, have a game plan that works.
What I prefer for tier lists is to have, I want the majority of the sets to fall in the middle.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't believe that the meta is constructed in that manner, where there are a whole bunch of decks at the top and bottom.
Yeah.
I think a good chunk of the meta falls in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
There are a whole bunch of decks that I would not blink an eye if they made top 8.
Yeah.
Because they're all reasonable. They have a game plan that's salient, that will work, or it's worked before, and there hasn't been that much that's changed. Maybe they've been power crept a little bit. I'm looking at you, every redhead. But
every redhead.
But, like, the game plan still works.
Yeah.
It doesn't overwhelm everybody like it used to, but it's still there, and it's pretty good.
So, like, quibbling with the community tier list a little bit, it's like, maybe Hololive 8x isn't literally tier 1.
Nothing makes me want to throw up more than that.
Maybe Bochi the Rock isn't exactly tier 3, like, being able to add everything that you want all the time with, like, a door combo that's just a copy of the Quince door combo, and then have Marine at the end, but it burns 3 instead of 2. It still feels reasonable.
I don't like 3 instead of 2, if I can be honest with you.
Really?
After playing Ram.
After playing
Ram a lot, I don't want.
You're like, 3's too fucking big. Throw that shit away.
That's right. 3's too much. It also, and not for nothing, this is important to think about.
Sure.
It messes with the math of the game.
Oh, really?
Because if you think about it,
okay,
you need 7 damage if your opponent's at 3-0 to win the game.
That's correct.
If you have only packets of 3,
yeah, you're overswinging.
we now need 9.
Yes.
Whereas
Yes.
if we have packets of 2, we can hit exactly 7. We can get 3 with 2 2s, right? So the math of the game is much more supported by 2 than 3, which is probably why they don't burn 2 and they instead burn 3. It's a balancing mechanism because now
It's also, but it is in itself also even slightly easier than Marine because it's end of the attack as well.
right, and so that sort of helps because you get to build even more resources somehow.
Yeah.
But they're both equally dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And in situations where they're not at 3-0, the packet size matters less. If they're at 3-1, right? Then you just need 2 packets instead of. I prefer the alternating packet size to the uniform packet size. It feels like the math leads to better outcomes in most situations where you just need less hits. But we'll take what we can get, and the rest of the deck is very, very good.
Yeah. I think Darcy mentioned that his list felt about the same minus, or not minus, but he was like, "Aw, Yuna, I wish it was better." But also, I feel like Yuna is also in itself not like exactly just bottom of the barrel. Like,
the problem is that after I played a bunch of Yuna, and
like sure, you get dumpstered by slime.
yeah, you
but,
also
like,
get dumpstered by Overlord.
Yeah.
So,
Which, like, fair enough.
having 2 dumpster matchups in your S tier is not ideal.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
So, you could probably pilot that to some success, but you need to get a little bit lucky in who you get matched up against.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like
Can
also...
you strangle the life out of Atla? For sure. For sure.
No, but that's the thing, right? Is like I feel like Yuna, like triple soul wall. Especially in the context of, I guess I was thinking inherently in the context of like NA regionals that I would go to or I would think about, or it's like if I got together a big tournament of everybody that I would expect to fight right now, and that would probably be NA players, how many Overlord and Slime players would there really be?
It's something to think about as the meta evolves.
Yeah.
So
that's why I wouldn't put Yuna so low, because even like Slime and Overlord were still less played decks, and your game plan still operates pretty well into like Sold Out is just good.
The problem with Yuna in particular, 8-bar Yuna,
sure,
isn't Yuna.
Right.
It's all the other pieces around it.
Fair enough.
That don't feel very good.
Fair enough.
And in particular, your level 3 game feels super weird.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of different finishers that are all equally bad. They're bad because they cost too much. They're bad because they mill the absolute crap out of your own deck. Or they're bad because they're highly unreliable. So...
Actually, those last two are the same.
Pretty much. So the whole game plan starts to really lean hard on Yuna.
Yeah.
So if
sure.
your opponent is able to answer Yuna... Also, Chainsaw Man is kind of not a great matchup either because of the double bounce. So two horrible matchups and an unfavorable, and then probably 2 neutrals is what I would say of the S tier decks that you would be going against.
Yeah.
And Lord knows there's a host of other weird-ass matchups that would be very bad. Like 8-door Itsuki is gonna 100% jam that anti-memory thing right down your throat.
Yeah.
So there's always gonna be squirrely matchups in there, but when half of the S tier is unfavorable or very unfavorable...
All right, I've been enlightened.
Becomes problematic to top 8. I think it can... It's just problematic.
All right. I've been enlightened. That makes sense. And Shizukatsu also had his own list before we get to ours, because we have a lot of crops to just really harvest.
Everybody's kind of thinking about the same thing right now, which is how fast can this meta change, and when can that happen?
Yeah, for sure. So Shizukatsu had Be Afraid, Strong, Good, It's There, How Did This Even Get Voted In, and Untested Tiers.
Right.
In Be Afraid, CSM, Hololive, Atla. That's it. Which, fair enough to you.
I agree.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Those are extremely powerful decks.
In Strong Tier is like Hendrickson, Gura, Slime, even Escanor, Overlord, Itsuki, and that's Ichika and Hololive 8-by.
my classic beef with this strong tier is Escanor is way too vulnerable to counterplay and even more vulnerable to struggling to sculpt the right board to win the game.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think it's what it was. If they unreverted his restriction, it would jump for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then in like good and it's their tiers is basically everything else that's on that list. These are all based off the same tier list, the list that Kilo put together from the community.
Right.
And so these
Shout
lists,
out to
well,
Kilo
you
for doing that
you
work.
see the list on screen, or if you're listening on Spotify, it's linked in the description for you to look at later. It's kind of like quibbling over the lower stuff is just kind of not super,
Not a big deal.
not a big deal. It's all good. And for my list, we have tier 0 is like Atlas, CSM, Hololive, Slime, Overlord.
I
And-
think
yeah,
this is pretty much the exact same as the community minus Hololive 8 by.
pretty much. Yeah.
Uh,
Which I think you can quibble over Overlord a bit, like just because it can get blown out a little more often, just by like virtue of
by itself, yeah.
Yeah, by itself, by Avatar existing.
I think any deck
by- yeah.
deck that is minimizing deck speed in deck 1 is going to be vulnerable to weird deck states.
And then it's just kind of like I think I have what you would consider the more like is like you said at the top of this segment. It's like I just think that there's a few top decks and maybe a few bottom decks, like really bottom decks. Everything else just kind of exists there, man.
What's going to be different about our tier list from the rest of the tier list on the face of the earth is y'all, Riaz is really good at Weiss Schwarz.
True.
So
we have Ari Ferretta.
You have
rated
to
a lot
understand.
higher.
You have to understand. You have to understand that when we put Ari Ferretta higher, it's because of this one guy and literally no one else. And there's nothing we can do about it. That's just science. He's gonna be,
Yeah.
he's gonna be there.
Now you're hopping on my logic train,
I'm absolutely with you.
which is like the potential of the set is here.
It is.
And I don't care if there's only one pilot or 200, but that's where I think the potential of the set is.
I put my
And so that's where it is.
yeah.
I am up.
The thing is that if we took the average Ari Ferretta player, there's a 50% chance it would be Riaz. So I still went with the average. I still went with the average. It's just that people may not be aware there's two of them.
Yeah.
And one of them is a 2-time world champion.
yeah.
So it's not
You
my
got it.
fault.
For sure. For real.
Yeah. So
And then everything else just kind of spread largely throughout my like tier 1, tier 2.
what's actually depressing here is that you put Review Starlight in tier 2.
I did.
How could you?
Because I'm honest.
You're not a review Andy.
Because I honestly, I realized this after I saw yours. You made yours after mine, and I didn't see yours. I kind of have it slightly similar to like yours, where you have like broken decks that can top 8, and decks that are too weak to top 8. And I feel kind of similarly about my tiers, where it's like I think Review Starlight can top 8,
Right.
but it's certainly not going to be like a favored winner. Like if you're gonna do it, you're gonna have to like break it out a little bit. But,
I think the other thing that's very interesting about your list is how you put Kanata Marine in tier 3? What? What?
tier 2.
The third tier of decks? I
Sure,
don't know how you want to
sure.
phrase that.
All right.
Have you lost your mind? What made that deck bad?
Nothing?
Does it still build infinite resources? Yes. Does it still have very reasonable finishing? Yes. Does it have access to good counterplay? Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Nothing made that deck bad.
I don't think anything made that deck bad. I just think that the meta game is largely more aggressive and more able to push Kanata Marine out of its comfort zone. I think that Kanata Marine was a better deck whenever you could probably more reliably stay at 2 if you healed down.
If Gura was banned tomorrow, Kanata Marine would be the best Hololive deck.
Yes. But that doesn't...
But you put Standby above it.
I did. I just don't think...
It's worth pointing out that you are somehow anti-healing at level 2, but pro-Overlord somehow.
Well, Overlord has a little different setup now, doesn't it? Steve?
If we're going to be pro-healing...
Doesn't it have a little something different here?
It does.
It has bar.
It does.
And not stock soul.
It does.
Stock soul door.
Yeah, that's true. If Kanata Marine has a weakness, it's that god-awful trigger configuration.
Yeah, like, come on, man. And to be fair, again, to me, this is like quibbling over, like, kind of like the middle, where realistically, yeah, like, I wouldn't.
It's like
I wouldn't complain about it being in tier 1, but like my tier 1, tier 2's, in my mind, is like pretty mixed, to be honest. Like,
oh, okay, it's just one big tier.
Yeah, it honestly kind of like. I just kind of, at the time, I was like, I guess I could put these slightly below ? But...
It's just an interesting take. I can see, like, it depends on your priorities in the game or how you perceive the game.
Sure.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the rest of your tier list is very good. I think what I find very refreshing about your tier list is that you included in the area of things that you didn't rate decks you absolutely have played against, but just not recently.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know how Escanor plays. I don't know how Escanor plays right now.
Right.
I don't know.
You want to avoid any kind of recency bias.
Yeah, I haven't played with her against Yuna. I haven't played with her against MTI 8-Bye. Like, Tokyo Revengers. All of this stuff is stuff that I've played against at some point, but not in this metagame.
Right.
So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. And secondarily, I'll flash it real quick. Here's some of the guesses that I have about, like,
where they go.
Yeah, about where they might go. Like, Shauna has anti-burn. The finisher's reasonable. Like,
the finisher's super dangerous.
Like, that's gotta be good enough.
The problem is
the early game just
it's missing its paired set is the problem.
Oh, is it?
The Bunko, it's not out.
Oh, is Shauna before Bunko?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
It's gonna be. I rated it as where it's gonna be.
Yeah. Sure.
It'll happen.
Sure. Ayakashi Triangle. So I guess I did kind of go against myself, but it's also because I think Ayakashi Triangle's healing at level 2 extremely outpaces both Overlord and Kanata.
I put Ayakashi in my decks that can top 8 for sure, because
that deck can heal from 2-6 to 2-0.
I think that healing at 2 is at a premium right now in specific matchups, as long as it doesn't compromise what is going to eventually be your end game. Because prolonging the game against some decks is the only way to win. If you trade fists with a deck that does incredible damage, you're going to lose. You cannot trade fists with Gura. I don't care who you are. There's too much damage. So if you're both leveling up every other turn, then they're going to win. They're going to outpace you because their deck hits harder more often and their finisher hits more and more often. So you have to have a strategy when you know that your finisher is not capable of trading blows equally.
Yeah.
Gura never has to worry about those type of strategies. You can worry about it a little bit for mirror matches and for times when your deck stays poor. You can just slot some early play healers and like move on with your life.
Yeah.
But you know that you have devastating finishing. So we'll just let that win the game and not worry about much anything else. But if you don't have devastating finishing, you need to have a plan for when your opponent does, because you can't trade equitably in those situations. You need to be a leg up. So
And you know what?
Ayakashi definitely does that.
You know what? And actually, to be completely honest, I probably should have put some more, like, to keep honest, I probably should have put more of some of these decks into the just I haven't played with or against in some time tier.
Maybe.
If we're gonna be really honest, I haven't played against Kaneda Marine in a year.
I'll be honest with you, I only put the ones in unfamiliar that I are either brand new, like RWBY, where they have seen no competitive play at all. I have an idea of what that deck looks like and how it behaves, but ultimately it hasn't been proven in any competitive play. Or it's pretty much, and I put Oshinoko down there because I didn't pay attention to the JP meta.
I did not pay attention to Oshinoko.
So I don't know how it behaves either.
Yeah,
but for the most part, even though a lot of these decks haven't been played, I haven't played against them recently, or they haven't been played recently, I'm aware of their game plan, and I'm not afraid to eyeball it a little bit just because I've been playing the game for a decade. I can kind of eyeball this stuff. But I'm more than aware that opens me up to being criminally wrong. So if it turns out that I am criminally wrong and the Mume deck just takes over everything, then I apologize in advance for assuming that I knew more about the game than I did. But that's the angle I took. I put most decks in the middle 2 tiers.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, you've seen you YouTube watcher, you've seen it the whole time. You Spotify listener, I mean, these are all linked below. You could have pulled it up. Very similar broken tier. Atla, CSM, Choice Panskura, Slime, decks like a top, Arifureta, Ichika, Itsuki, Standby Gura, Kaneda Marine, Overlord, Spy, Hendrickson, and then decks like a top 8.
Literally everything else.
Basically everything else. 2 week to top 8. We threw in like Christmas Kasumi, GG Strive, Standby Bar, and then Yuna, Saikono, and MTI 8-Buy.
I realize that deck has topped a lot, but by God, do I hate its game plan.
Yeah. You're just a Standby Guilty Gear hater, bro.
I am.
You're a Ram hater is what you are.
I am. It's become part of me. That finisher's failed me so many times that initially I believed. You can go back in the history of this podcast, and when that set was new, I preached. I was part of the church. I believed that all it needed to do was be cheap and 6 packets and it would work. It doesn't work. It never works. My opponent just blocks and I lose the whole game. That's what happens every time with that stupid finisher. No, I don't believe. I lost my faith. And their standby game plan is not good, in my opinion. It doesn't have anything you want to stand by. Nothing. At no point do I want to stand by pre-2. I just want to put a ram out early. That's it. Nah. It can't be good. It
just play Gold Lewis, man. What are you doing?
Right, just play Gold Lewis. Anyway.
What, like,
we were wrong. We were all wrong about Gold Lewis. I will freely admit it. I was wrong about.
What's wrong with Standby Shot Bar?
Nothing.
Okay.
Like, Is
Ram good then?
I'm on board with Standby as long as we have a game plan that involves using Standby.
Yeah.
What I hate
Here we go.
is we're going to stand by this level 3, and every second before that happens, the Standby is going to produce no value or questionable value. And I am just not on board. And even more than that, the level 1 Standby, this deck is not good enough to live off of 1 climax combo producing essentially 2 cards. It is not. Your hand will bleed in ways that you never thought possible because you are just not adding enough cards. If you had Aqua, if you had some way to produce more hand size, but this set doesn't have it. So it feels so greedy to reach for it. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know, if we had Standby Door on this list, I mean, I would put that in deck second top.
Yeah. Again, great example of a deck that can really use the standby trigger early and often.
Yeah.
You don't want them to ever get it.
Yeah.
And it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. They're gonna
I traumatized this guy with it.
They're gonna get it.
Ito's good.
That's
Avis is right. Yeah. Ito is good.
That's the exact setup you want. You got a level 1 standby combo, putting out the thing that is going to be the problem next turn. Immediate mid-game problem. And guaranteed climax combo. That's the type of standby I can get behind. Or like with Nino, where it's like, I'm gonna stand by this guy and then wang you in the face with it immediately for value. And it's huge. It's ginormous. And it's durable. It's gonna stay on the board. There's nothing you can't remove it unless without esoteric mechanics that I'm going to make you have. And I like Baiken, but the power number plus the effect just ain't it. So I just, standby bar ain't it.
Yep. And so it goes. And that's, I mean, you've been, I guess, audio listeners, that's our audio preview for you, our tier list. If you want to see it, you can, it'll be links below in the description. We'll put out a tweet. You can, read that, see that on your own time. And I think we've discussed kind of like our highlights and our lowlights of it well enough. And if you want to flame us, then go ahead, get in the comments. Get in the comments. Finally for today, midnight release. It's the RWBY Premium booster. What the fuck is good? Question mark.
I looked at the set when it was being previewed, and
I mean, then you saw the whole set,
right? And I re-reviewed it recently, and like many premium boosters, this set is probably just going to strengthen existing decks more than it's going to create new decks.
Yes,
but the things I like the most, we have a new reasonable finisher in yellow.
Yeah.
So
we love Chica clones.
This is just Chica.
It's Chica. I think slightly different too.
Right. It's
very slightly.
It's Chica, and the difference is it needs a full board.
Yeah.
That's it.
On play, right?
What do you mean?
Like it's just on climax play, discard.
Chica is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
They're both on climax placement.
Yeah.
So it's
a choice.
It's totally fine.
Very reasonable.
It's a totally fine finisher.
Very reasonable
I have no complaints. We get a bounce back counter, which is really nice for standby builds because now you can Omega punish your opponent using your stock by bouncing back counters on your big fat standby boards, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I think this is like bounce a character back to your hand, or
yeah, pay 1 to return the counter to your hand.
Oh, pay the counter. Okay, got it.
It's a yellow counter and it returns the counter.
Yeah.
So that's completely fine. Green does not have a lot to like, unfortunately.
That's funny.
Some of the wording of some of the cards made them worse than they needed to be.
I am playing the Bar Clap of Thunder combo. I'm trying it for funsies. We're giving it a shot.
Is that the 2-1?
It's the 2-1.
I don't hate the combo in general.
I am trying 3 bar 5 standby. Sometimes I do wish we had a camera. Like, just Steve's eyes just fly open.
It's so interesting of you to only play 3 of your level 1 combo.
It's a bar. I'll get it.
Spoken like a true Weiss Schwarz meister if I've ever heard
it. I want more incidental standbys.
I'll just get it.
I just want more incidental standbys.
Have you heard of twin driving?
Yeah, I mean...
You could get them that way.
That's in yellow. I don't have that color.
True. All right, I don't hate this 2-1 combo. It just would have been nice if the Ramorous worked with it.
No, it's even funnier. It's even funnier.
It's like they worded it intentionally wrong. It's like they trained it wrong as a joke.
I am playing only 9 total non-climax green cards.
That's probably fine.
Yeah, you think?
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever played this little of like my level 1 game plan color.
It's
in my entire life.
It's only halfway lunatic, but
yeah.
It depends on what levels they are also. If
level 0, it's 4 fucking time machines and 4 of the 2-1 combo. Because the 2-1,
I guess you only need 1.
Okay, you only need 1 and the 2-1 needs a full board.
I'm aware.
So, time machine gets out of dodge, is a 3K, and then helps you provide the full board. And I need green.
Did you ever play P5? Like as a deck?
No.
I could tell. This card's been printed before in a much worse form.
Yeah.
This is just Joker, the 2-1 Joker.
Uh-huh.
That required a full board.
Yeah.
And then gave you the worst plus imaginable.
What was the plus?
Draw 1, search for a level 1 or lower. On reverse.
On reverse? Nah, dude, I fucking love red. He gets rid of his climax. It's end of the attack instead of like beginning of encore step, like a lot of the other ones too. So like even if like your deck's getting low, you just get rid of it first.
Right.
And then get your plus. And then
draws
refresh
events
the deck.
also, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Which would be technically relevant for the money counter. It's such a weird deck, man. You need so many fucking 3s for this standby finisher.
I think
it's absurd.
I think the other issue is that a lot of the deck doesn't want you to run events because they cause anti-synergy.
Yeah.
So, like the Ricky can only discard characters.
Yeah.
So you don't want to...
I'm not running events right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the event draw portion of it is strange, but it's not unwelcome.
Yeah.
I think they also get a little more memory compression. Is that true?
I'm not even running this Ramorous.
Not the Ramorous. There's a 0 Pyrrha that's like on placement.
Yeah, there's a different one.
On placement, give 2K, and then pay 1, pitch 1, send it to memory when it's reversed.
You know why you can't run it?
No.
Because you need to run the set 1 Pyrrha. Because you need 2 of those in memory.
Yeah, can I do both?
Well, the set 1 Pyrrha says only if you have 2 or less memory.
Right.
Can I go into memory? I need both of these in memory so that I can do the RWBY finisher.
I thought it was 2 or less. Well, I can run both in the Jon finishing deck, right?
Yep.
Okay.
No, Jon's like realistically TBH. I'm a big fan of the Jon deck. As like a very reasonable, just a reasonable, like technically able to top 8 deck. Like all the pieces, I like him fine. The one, you don't have to run the Pyrrha 1 bomb. You can run the new 1 bomb that can bond to your healer, which is cool. Like, yeah, fuck it. Get some extra discard, still a 1 bomb, still procs my Jon 1 combo, because I can stack all of this on reverse searches on the 1 bomb.
I do note that part of what makes this set strange is they did not print anything. It doesn't feel like that discards climaxes. So
there's like some blue cards. You have Ironwood?
4 Ironwood will still be mandatory. There is no choice. We need some way to discard this crap.
Yeah, dude. I'm playing 3 right now, and it almost doesn't feel like enough. But I haven't played that much of it. I was just fucking around with it. Like we've said, we are kind of in the off season, so I just kind of built it just to see. And in my like 1 or 2 games so far, it was like draw all of my 3s, pray heavily. I was like, okay.
This new early play healer they printed is great too.
Oh, dude, I love Tyrion.
He's big. He doesn't have to send the card to memory. He can do it at the point of greatest leverage. So you never have to give your opponent free memory if you don't feel like it. And it's a clock to stock healer, which is...
We love cash.
We love that.
And then also, like, you lose the power, but like I think we've said before, like, we're playing the healer to heal. And once we got the heal, we got the value. And this guy even gets more value for like on reverse memory. And so it doesn't feel so bad, like just being an 8-5 afterwards, or just a 10k anyway, because maybe you played the Pura combo and you gave your whole board 1-5, and so he's still a 10k anyway.
Right. I think you still play standby. I like Pura, so I think the standby game plan is still very, very good.
We like Pura, we like RWBY.
If we're not gonna have overwhelming damage, then having scary decompression is our next best scariest thing. So they also decided to print I'm not gonna call it a lucky beast. Probably not many people would get that reference, but they printed a card that shuffles both players' waiting rooms back into their decks. But it's at level 3. It's also a Musashi.
Yeah.
Or not a Musashi. It's on cancel burn 1, not X+1. But it's an interesting card, I'll say, because I'm not sure. I always go back and forth on so-called Fumio mechanics where I'm not 100% sure if the game state where they're good shows up enough.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when it does, it feels really satisfying.
And so some people have been playtesting the premium booster since the reveals on the sim. And what I will say for standby in particular, I do want to build an 8 standby at some point. I'm not sure if it's like the best, just because you don't have as many like tools as Nino.
Yeah.
Right? And so like and your finisher kind of wants selectivity. Like you want to be able to play down some more of your finishers so that you can get like the full setup. You want to get to like Salem, because like a line that I've seen is like, oh, we have all the extra stock, double Salem, Icy Tail 4 twice, and then I'll double clock kick you and then burn you 3 and then burn you 3 and then swing like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
Which is not nothing.
No, that's all extremely dangerous. I like a lot of what the standby deck offers for board stability, because I don't feel that a huge thing for RWBY is tremendous hand value. It doesn't seem like they have that.
Yeah.
They printed a saver for it now, so it's a little easier to keep your standby targets without wasting a whole bunch of your resources. They have it on Death Akatsuki now, which helps put a little bit of a band-aid over your kind of questionable deck speed, because now between Pura and this thing, maybe you can clear decks in a little more efficient rate. And of course, Ironwood is producing hand movement. Like, you get little hand movements everywhere. Mm-hmm. It kind of becomes better than it was. So I don't know. I'm unsure how good this is going to be. I like a lot of the pieces, but what I will say is disturbing a little bit is there's nothing that jumps directly into your face as a thing that is going to make your opponent very, very sad.
Sure.
And so this may just be the type of deck that you don't want to face in specific ways. Certainly, if you have any kind of on-field mechanic that you need to have happen, they won't let you have happen.
Yeah.
But
it's like loses to Overlord.
It's stuff like that. Where we're playing a field-based deck. We have vulnerabilities.
Loses to Slime, probably.
Slime kind of likes to have counterplay, and if you won't let them, then a lot of times they'll crutch themselves on that +6 souls counter.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you can deny that to some degree with this deck by just...
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's...
You're not there, so you can't play it.
But you can't make them not be there because they have hexproof?
I keep assuming that they won't be. That's the only way I can continue to exist in the game.
Just that one day.
It will eventually be that way, and so I don't think about how it is now. I only think about it when it doesn't have it.
Got it.
Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't work right when that's there. But
yes.
In any case, Yes, I think eventually this deck will be better placed in the meta than it is currently. Right now, it's probably a good deck to top 8 with and probably a bad deck to win with. But if a lot of the S tier goes down, then the whole of the meta is going to fall a lot towards the middle. And all those decks
that's when we really will have like a massive tier 1.
Yes, all the decks that are currently falling in the middle right now, the middle is just going to get humongous.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually something will rise out of that. But I don't think it's anything that exists right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see. But I will hesitate to put very many things into the S tier if the type of restriction I'm anticipating happens. So it'll be a very interesting time to be playing Weiss Schwarz because it won't be as linear to determine how you're going to win, and you'll have to consider that there may just be matchups that suck because your opponent is doing a thing that sucks for you.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it, honestly.
Yep. And that's going to be our show for today. So tune in next time after your next deck out, and don't you forget to take the refresh point.